So one of the things we've started to do with our clients is have a chat to them at the end of year, as part of our end of year meeting, and talk about risk. Because part of the job of an accountant for a business and a business owner is not just talking about where you're going, what your plans are for growth, but it's also about managing the risk that might put a bump in the road or might cause a more than significant problem for your business. Also, we tend to get sidetracked a little bit about the business, whereas in fact with business owners, they are very reliant on their business, so therefore there's also an issue around managing the risk for the business owner. And so examples that I've had experience of are COVID, where the business pretty much ceased trading. What happens to the business owner, where actually all of their wealth and all of their income is based upon their business? That's a risk, and is there something that we need to highlight to business owners to manage that? There's also the risk of guaranteeing loans. So from time to time, there might be an investment, or there might be a reason to obtain a loan for the business. Invariably, that's guaranteed by the business owner or the shareholder director. Again, that's a risk that if the business doesn't do well, their home, their family home is potentially at risk. There's probably something we need to have a conversation around, seeing can we manage some of that risk. There's also more mundane issues. What happens if you get sick? What happens if you get very badly ill? What happens if the worst occurs? How are you protected? How are you managing that risk for you and for your family? So therefore, as part of our end of year review meeting, we've now started putting together a risk profile for each client. So we go down through a number of those risks, including things such as wills, and then we identify whether they've got them in place for the client or not, and then we present them as part of the end of year meeting and say, this is what your personal risk profile looks like, separate from the business, but this is what your personal risk profile, and a lot of it is also based upon the business, because that's where most of their wealth, most of their income originates from. So if you haven't done it yourself, happy for you to drop something in the comments, send me a DM, and I'll happily share, run through that with you for 20 minutes. But actually it's something that can occasionally get forgotten when you're working on the business and where the business is going.